Okay, we're on lesson number 186 of the workbook of A Course in Miracles. The salvation of the world depends on me. Um, and the truth is, as I was reading this lesson, um, I could just feel that bright spot open up in my mind. Um, in the recognition of the truth of what this is saying. This is an incredible lesson, which, it really is looking directly at the strength and reality of who you are, and telling you exactly what it is that you are here to do and why you're here to do it and how you're going to do it. This is the complete lesson. Here is a statement that will one day take all arrogance away from every mind. Here is the thought of true humility. It's interesting. This is a thought of true humility. You would think it would be that it would be arrogant for you to think that the salvation of the world depended on you. And here we're being told that the willingness to accept this as true is a statement of true humility, which holds no function as yours, but that which has been given you. It offers you acceptance of a part assigned to you without insisting on another role. It does not judge your proper role. It but acknowledges that the will of God is done on earth as well as in heaven, because you are God's will. And in the moment when you recognize your reality and simultaneously discover the illusory nation of the world of space and time, where in which you thought you were the body that was making its way through, you suddenly realize that what's going on here is quite different than what we had previously thought. And now, with a particular understanding, you could begin to see how we can go beyond this world and yet learn all we need to know to end the fear and the guilt and our sense of worthlessness and not having any value and lack of meaning. When we discover that we have a role to play in the salvation of the world, all of a sudden there's a brand new purpose that allows us to be here for another instant with a purpose to give meaning to what it is we're doing, as well as allowing us an understanding that there is a goal that once we fulfill this function, that not will be our reward because it was already given to us as what we are and created, but a way to return to the reality within which we are at home, and where the God's grace operates truly. So therefore we experience it readily and live by it, and are sustained by the love that God extends as us, as that communication, that what was previously a momentary break in communication is repaired, and the recognition of the perfection of creation becomes a recognition of ourselves as that creation, and we join with all to continue the unceasing, ever-increasing creative reality that we are part with. Let us not fight our function. We did not establish it. It is not our idea. The means are given us by which it will be perfectly accomplished. All that we are asked to do is accept our part in genuine humility and not deny with self-deceiving arrogance that we are worthy. It's an interesting idea. Really an interesting idea. The world, in the world of space and time, it would seem to be humility, which would say, oh, no, no, I'm not worthy. And what this is saying, it's arrogance that would declare that you're not worthy, when in fact humility would be the recognition that you will remain as God created you. You could never be anything other than God created you. And now, in your current awareness of that fact, and the remembrance of who you are, you can use your true relationship with God to change your mind about the world, and therefore change the world along with your mind. And that's what we're here to do. Today's idea may seem quite sobering until you see its meaning. All it says is that your Father still remembers you. And that's hard to believe, because we've been in the forgetting so long that we forget what the remembering is in its entirety. And because of the nature of the habituation and addiction to the forgetting that we've imposed upon ourselves, we can't take much more than sort of spontaneous and momentary glimpses into the timeless. And then, as we read in the lesson the other day, step back into the darkness to both integrate what we've learned and share, which is how the integration takes place, our understanding. Share the new vibratory frequency of hope. Share the vibratory frequency of the light that we recognize that we are. And as it says in this lesson, not through words, but for those who are willing to go beyond the words, to no longer defend the image that they think they are and the purpose that you think it's serving, in order to be some sort of success, or make something of yourself in the world, which is an interesting idea when you begin to recognize in your own awakening that the unreality of the world ensures that whatever you make of it and make of yourself, it will disappear along with the rest of the world in the awakening, when it becomes total and all of our brothers recognize and fulfill their function in God's plan for salvation. You know, we used to joke that, and it is pretty funny, you know, the highest recognition that you get in this world of space and time is a statue in some park someplace where the pigeons come and poop on you. You become you get a name in the history book. They're like a little footnote as to who you were and what you did. Meantime, time wanders on, and new things seem to be achieved and accomplished. But they're the same old things as the old things were, and all of it is part of an illusion, which upon awakening returns to where it never really existed in the first place. It's much like the dreams that you dream at night. For a moment when you wake up, you seem to have some sort of remembrance of the fact that you were dreaming and there was something it was about, and then you get up out of bed and it's just simply gone. This is going to be much like that, and the ending of this, when we wake up and recognize that we never left, is going to preclude the ability for anybody to ever been separate before. So be a passerby in this world, and the way we do that is given to us in this lesson. It's down here in the very toward the end, when he begins to tell us exactly how we can fulfill our function here. And let's see, where is it starts? And as we find our peace, all this voice for God relates to you. Here it is. Arrogance makes an image of yourself that is not real, and it is this image which quails and retreats as the voice for God assures you that you have the strength, the wisdom, and the holiness to go beyond all images. You are not weak, as is the image of yourself. You are not ignorant and helpless. Sin cannot tarnish the truth in you, and misery can come not near the holy home of God. So a lot of times, and many of you can bear witness to them in your practice of these lessons in the workbook of A Course in Miracles, when you begin to have the experiences that are brought about by the willingness to utilize your mind and your heart the way you're being given to do so in these lessons, you'll have these experiences that take you beyond the limitations you previously thought were imposed upon you in the arrogance of the forgetting that in God all things are possible. And you'll have these experiences, and all of a sudden the ego will kick up much more strongly than before and put and defend its right to think that your strength is in weakness, and your strength comes through denying that the voice for God is speaking to you and has a function for you. Anything to keep you from fulfilling your function and following that voice, because the listening to God's voice does come in the ego's, in a sense, in the ego's experience of it losing its power over you altogether, and that is one thing it cannot stand. It wants to keep you actively, and yet as subtly as possible, following the dictates that the fear and guilt that the ego fosters within us, following the dictates that try to, in a sense, help us in worldly ways avoid that which has no reality, thereby assuring us that it is real to us. So when you have an experience of forgiveness, let's say, or many of you who have revelatory experiences, when you're in the midst of that experience and your mind is open and you're joined with the Holy Spirit, or you're in communication with the entire universe, there's absolutely nothing to question, or nothing that you would feel interferes with this. But the moment that you start to come out of it and you're back into the darkness or the forgetting, the ego is going to offer you all manner of reasons within its frame of reference and the associations of your mind for you not to pursue what's been offered to you by the voice of God as your ability to fulfill your function in God's plan for salvation, because it is very threatened by the experiences that don't validate that and render it an illusion, and therefore not worthy of your attention whatsoever, because the magnitude of the experiences that you have when you finally overcome the obstacles that are needed to listen to God's voice, when you're finally honest enough with yourself and with the universe to recognize that you don't know who you are, you don't know where you are, you don't know what you're doing, and no matter what it is you do in the world, it doesn't answer the questions that at the core of your being are nagging away at you. It's an interesting sentences. All this, the voice for God relates to you, and as he speaks, the image trembles and seeks to attack the thread it does not know, sensing its basis crumble. Yes, your ego is sensing that, oh my God, your ego is sensing the beginning of the end of its ability to have sway, to hold you in its grasp, and it's going to do anything possible to try to once again co-opt you in the teaching, including interpret it for you, when in fact this is telling you the voice for God will offer you everything. Let it go. Salvation of the world depends on you and not upon this little pile of dust. What can it tell the Holy Son of God? Why need he be concerned with it at all? And so we find our peace. We will accept our function. We will accept the function God has given us For all illusions rest upon the weird belief that we can make another function ourselves, that we could be part of the totality of creative reality, created in the image and likeness of our Father, and make and come up with something that's unlike Him that we would be able to do. Where we get that strange notion from? Our self-made roles are shifting. This is you understand this. This is everybody has this experience within the world of space and time. How self-made roles are shifting, and they seem to change from mourner to ecstatic bliss of love and loving. We can laugh or weep and greet the day with welcome or with tears. Our very being seems to change as we experience 1,000 shifts in mood, and our emotions raise us high indeed, or dash us to the ground in hopelessness. And that is a good indication that we're not seeking an emotional state of mind to maintain, because the emotional states of mind within the world that we seem to want, as opposed to others, are all within the illusory nature of this hallucination that we've called the world of space and time, that we become conscious of. In reality, it's changeless. Now, to many that sounds boring without these ups and downs, but I assure you that once you experience it, you'll understand why it couldn't possibly ever be boring, based on the ever-increasing, eternal, and infinite nature of your being as being what love is, and your soul as being as creative as the Father who created you. As a matter of fact, is this the Son of God? Could He create such instability and call it His Son? He who is changeless shares His attributes with His creation. All the images His Son appears to make have no effect on what He is at all. They blow across His mind like wind-swept leaves that form a pattern in an instant and break apart to group again and scamper off. Or like mirages seen above a desert rising from the dust. It's all an illusion. And salvation of the world depends on you, the ability to bring the illusion to an end in the awakening that is taking place in you and all of our brothers, so that we can return to the recognition that we've never left our eternal home, our eternal state. His gentle voice is calling from the known to the unknowing. He would comfort you, although He knows no sorrow. He would make a restitution, although He's complete. A gift to you, although He knows that you have everything already. He's re-gifting you with the knowledge that you have, the awareness that you have anything, not just the having given you everything. Now He's helping you regain the awareness of what you've already had as His gift to you. He has thoughts which answer every need. Now, this is the important part. For many of you who have trepidations that are brought by the ego's attempt to sway you and dissuade you from fulfilling your function, this is an important part for you to read. Don't worry about the fact that there is no world. Don't worry about any of that. Just remember that your success at the fulfillment of your function within God's plan of salvation has nothing to do with the image and its trepidations, but everything to do with your reality and what that reality is. And this is a beautiful statement as to how this works. He knows that you have everything already. He has thoughts which answer every need His Son perceives, although He sees them not. For love must give, and what is given in His name takes on the form most useful in a world of form. These are the forms which can never deceive, because they come from formlessness itself. Forgiveness is an earthly form of love, which as it is in heaven has no form, yet what is needed here is given as here is given here as it is needed. In this form, exactly as you're finding yourself in this world, you can fulfill your function even here. Although what love will mean to you when formlessness has been restored to you is greater still, salvation of the world depends on you who can forgive. Such is your function here. So make no mistake about it, there's no loss and sacrifice involved. The ego wants to convince you that it is, and convince you that you're going to be destitute, and convince you that you're going to lose the things you love and be bereft. But this is assuring you that God's voice would never deny you anything that you needed, required to fulfill His function, because your function is happiness and the recognition and the ability to make manifest the abundance of the kingdom of eternal love and the infinite nature of reality. So, the voice for God is speaking to you, asking you to take your place in the plan for salvation, with the promise that when you say yes and begin to follow the voice and allow God's will to be done through you, everything that you require will be given to you as you require it, until it's no longer required. What more have you ever wanted than the simplicity of a fulfilling life without the sacrifice we've thought it had to be in order to achieve a state at some other point in time? Heaven is here and heaven is now, and the salvation of the world depends on you.